Hey guys, welcome to Faith Farm, Brother Jim, and we are mixing chicken feed today. And so hang around with us here and we'll show you some of the ratios and let you know kind of why we're doing this. And so I think you're gonna like this video today. Stick around. Okay guys, you can tell we've got the chickens in the background there. Welcome back to this edition of Faith Farm. Here is our feed that we're going to mix. We picked this up from different feed stores. We couldn't find it all in one place. We're having a problem like some of y'all are having in egg production. Some say it's a conspiracy theory, some say that it's this, that, the other, whatever. Some say it's just the winter time. But one thing that we do know is that we have low protein amounts in commercial feeds. So in this episode, we're going to be mixing feeds and give you a little heads up. We're not scientists. We were doing some math on this earlier and we determined we need somebody that knows math. But anyway, so it doesn't have to be exact, but we're going to work on a formula here. And so stick around and we're going to start mixing this up. Okay guys, so here's the ingredients that we have. First of all, you'll see you can do this. We happen to have a cement mixer, so we're going to use that to mix this feed. And hey, you use what you got, right? So if you don't have a cement mixer, don't go out and buy one. You can we bought a food grade barrel. This used to have olives in it. And you could just put all this in there and roll the barrel around a little bit and it's mixed up, right? Simple enough. And so, or, you know, you could use a plastic tub, trash can, whatever it is that you have. We happen to have this, so we decided we'd utilize what we have. So what we have is we have wheat, we have oyster shell right here, we have chickens in the background, we have a 50-pound sack of corn, we have oats, and we have soybean. And so we're going to break this down. This is what we're going to be putting in. We're going to break this down. And so let's go in and talk about some of the properties of these and the ratios. Okay, we're going to start out with the wheat. And this is a wheat seed. And bought it at the feed store. You can grind this, make flour out of it, bread, whatever you want to make. But I want you to see this, get a look at it there. And this is a 14% protein. One of the problems with commercial chicken feeds is most of them are like 12%. You can get a higher protein in like a game bird, but it's also a lot higher in price. So in this, we're going to be able to get our proteins up around 25% or so, and with the soybean. But so on the wheat, this is about 14% protein in this. It's a good source of vitamins and minerals and amino acids, and it brings a good balance to the feed. So it's not just a filler, but it is a good source of protein along with all these other things added to it. So that's our wheat. Okay, next in this, we have our oats. These oats are a good source in minerals and high in fiber. It's lower in protein. You see the oats here. It's lower in protein, about 9%, but it's okay. We're going to boost that up because the benefits that you get from the fiber and the minerals and such in that makes up for a lower ratio of proteins. Okay, so next we have our corn. I'm going to show you this. This corn is really just it's like a deer corn or a yellow dent used for livestock. So corn is about 10% protein, but it's really high in fat. And so you don't want to feed just corn because there's such a fat content in that your laying hens can get so fat they have trouble laying eggs. And but it is a great filler. There's not a whole lot. There's some vitamins and minerals in it, but mainly it's 10% protein, and it adds lots of fat into the diet. And there's calories in this also. You and I probably need to cut back on the corn a little bit. I'm not talking to the lady behind the camera. I'm talking about me and you that are watching this video. And so, hello, Sister Jan. She looked at me like, what? Anyway, so we're going to be putting corn in this as well. Okay, next in this mixture is a soy meal. Some people don't like putting this in there, but with us, we're fine with it. Here's one of the really powerful things about soy. This is a soy meal. You see this? It's already been ground. And this soy meal is 50 to 60% protein. So this is what's really going to bring your protein ratio up, but you don't put as much. You only put a third soybean meal in the mixture. And so we'll do a full part of the wheat, a full part of the corn, a full part of the oats, and we'll do a 1/3 part of the soybean meal. Okay, last but not least in this, we have a sack of oyster shell. I'll just get some of this in my hand. We're gonna put this whole sack of oyster shell in there. This has been ground up, and you can put as much of this in there as you want to put, because they're only going to eat so much. If you don't have access to oyster shell, you can use eggshell, but be careful not to just throw eggshells in there, because you don't want to get your chickens start eating the eggs. If you see your chickens start pecking on the eggs, and you go in there and you see a lot of peck spots in them, they need some calcium. So this is where they're going to get their calcium ratio. And I'm just going to put this whole bag of it here in this mixture, and they'll eat out of it what they want. And so that's not a big deal as far as ratio goes. But so we have wheat, we have oats, we have corn, and we have soybean meal, and we have eggshells. So let's start doing some mixing. Okay guys, here we are. Got those in there. I've got my oyster shell. You can see this thing is pretty full. And we did a third of a bag of the soybean. It's approximate. We didn't weigh it out and all that, but we scooped that part out. All right, so this mixer was pretty noisy, so we didn't want you to have to suffer through that, but you see me mixing in the oyster shell here as this is mixing up the feed. Remember, this is 1 part wheat, 1 part corn, 1 part of oats, and then 1/3 part of soybean. Soybean is where really boosts the protein up 25 to 30%. And so we get this going, and we just let it keep mixing this around and stirring it up in there. All right, I'm going to get a scoop of this and show you what we're looking at. You can see how this is all mixed in together. And I believe this is going to be a pretty good mixture in this. So let's get back and let it mix just a little bit more, and we'll put it in the barrel. Okay guys, so we have our feed mixed, and because of the height of the barrel and the height of this, we can't just dump it right into the barrel. So I'm going to dump it into this container, and I'll show you how to do that. Hopefully I remember this from back when I used to work with bricklayers and use the cement mixer. So we'll see, and you might see why I don't do that anymore. But anyway, so we just get this turned on. Okay guys, so sorry about the noise of the mixer in the background. I'm going to go ahead and actually take this lid off. Turn it off so you can hear me a little better. And I'm going to start scooping this into this container. If you're sensitive to dust, you might want to wear a dust mask when you're doing this. I want to show you this again. Isn't that some awesome looking feed? Look at that. Hallelujah. My chickens are going to love that. Matter of fact, we're going to give them some here in a little bit, and you'll see what they do with it. Now that I've got it down there a ways, let's pick this up. There we go, and then we'll empty the rest of that out in this, like we did a while ago. Just a little bit left in the bottom. We'll get that out in a little bit, but I'm gonna go ahead and put this over in that barrel. Okay guys, so we picked up a 5-gallon bucket, and we're gonna ferment some of this feed. So we'll put a scoop and got a gallon of water here. We'll put in there and see how that does. We're really just going to let it set, probably for a day. All right, we can add another scoop. But it just makes your feed go further. It also fills the chickens better. One of the things also that I forgot to tell you earlier about the wheat is that I'm going to let that come just over the top of that feed, because the feed's going to swell. One of the things I forgot to tell you earlier about the wheat is the wheat also helps to suppress the digestive system of the chickens. And so you don't want to feed just straight wheat because it'll slow it down too much. But what ends up happening, so you have higher protein, you have a little bit slower metabolism on their appetite. And so what that translates to is they process the food better. And because we're also fermenting the feed, then it also begins to break down. So when they eat it, it's easier for them. It's easier for them to break up in their craw or their gizzard. It's always called a craw when I was growing up. But so the food is not as hard with the corn and all the other grains. They're not as hard, so they can break them down easier. And so you end up really increasing your production. Okay, I got some of the feed here. I'm gonna go ahead, this certainly hadn't been fermented, but you see my feed system that I said, look at them, they're already after it. I've got this pipe, it empties into this down here. I'll put this out. Actually, I'll show you how to do that. Can you see this top? Put it into that pipe. It goes out and empties into this. So let's step back and see what the chickens do. Okay guys, looks like the feed mix was a success. The chickens loved it. You saw them putting into it. Do it whatever works for you. It's your farm, it's your chickens, and so make it yours. So I hope this video blesses you, and we hope that the Lord blesses you certainly. And right here on Faith Farm, we're still keeping the faith. God bless.